What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony Russo. It's the Daily Truth. It's Friday. We've come to the end of the week. It's what I'm calling Felt Friday because I decide, one day a week, I got to rock one of my hats, one of my cowboy hats. Wearing a little felt today, courtesy, of course, of my friends at ProHats. So, rocking it out, letting you guys jump on, hit the like button, hit the share button, smash all the buttons, do all the things you do with the buttons, share it out. Help me out, because I'm about to be given a little bit of inspiration, motivation, perspiration. I don't know what you want to call it. I had a really great conversation. I talked a little bit about it earlier this week, and the Daily Truth today is actually involving talking and listening, inspired by one of those conversations you have on just a random day. So I met a new friend of mine, and I use this one of our other parts of the conversation as a reference earlier in the week. But I met with a gentleman by the name of Farron, and he was telling me about a conversation he had with his 9-year-old, and it's a brilliant way of looking at communicating with others. The truth behind communication. The truth is you got to be a better listener. So the question his son asked, and I want to make sure I got it right, can you talk and listen at the same time? He said, Dad, can you talk and listen at the same time? And how profound this is from a 9-year-old boy asking that, because guess what? We have a huge issue with that in our society. We do a lot of talking, not a lot of listening, and we also don't know how to properly actively listen. You could still be thinking, but you have to truly learn how to listen to the other individual before you can properly respond. A lot of times we glaze over the conversations they had. So they're on their daily walk, and he's having this conversation with the kid, and they try talking and listening at the same time. And guess what? The human brain doesn't work that way. Some are better at active listening than others. Some lawyers typically have to be able to actively listen. I, as an MC, am pretty decent at listening to people while I get ready to talk and prepare my answer, but I also talk for a living. But I'm still not great at it. And I still fail often to properly listen when I'm too busy worrying about either talking or talking back or arguing. This happens in relationships. This happens in business. This happens in any form of communication you could think of. So being quick to talk is not always the right answer. Find a way to be a better listener. Find a way to respond after letting it all soak in, letting it all come in, and then responding. With that said, don't wait too long to talk. You have heard this from me, in the first few weeks of the Daily Truth, probably. I don't like the idea of sitting on your hands and not being a person of action. So if you want to act on what you believe, say it. Don't get stage fright to have that conversation. Be willing to give the truth to somebody else. Be willing to speak out and speak up. But first, listen to the person at the other side of you, whether it's politically, whether it's relationship-wise, whether it's your boss. Listen to what is said, or better yet, whether it's an employee. Maybe an employee is somebody that is trying to have you learn something about your business that you may not know, and you may not be able to see how the customer sees it, or see how the other employees see it. Be willing to accept that you don't know it all. I know this sounds familiar from earlier this week, but accept that you don't know it all and listen to other viewpoints before immediately reacting and immediately talking. Why? Because even a 9-year-old can tell you that you can't talk and listen at the same time. Right now, if I was just jabbing away and I'm looking at comments, yeah, I can do that during certain shows. But guess what I have to do? Stop, read, come back on the screen. Well, I'll be on the screen the whole time, but come back to the conversation. Being able to do two things at once like that is almost impossible for the human brain. So why would you risk making a verbal mistake and failing without being able to learn some lessons and realize it doesn't work that way? I want you to look back in your life and think about all the times you spoke without listening or spoke over listening. How far did that get you? Might have made you single, but it probably did not help you in the long run. So today's truth is to just start thinking about listening and then speaking, separating the two. When you're speaking, understand that you're not going to be listening to somebody else. So be ready to have that point and be ready to clap back and get at that point. But the rest of the time, listen. Your response is always going to be better. All right, guys, God bless. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. It's Felt Hat Friday for my Pro Hat. I even had to adjust the microphone different today. God bless. And remember, the truth will always set you free.